Brilliant.
Thank you. Oh, we're on. Oh, dear.
1, 2.
We've been told we've got to speak into the microphones so you can all hear me. So, can everyone that can hear me raise their hands? Whoa, everyone. Oh, dear.
Good, that's
I do apologise, the fact you're going to have to hear me now. I'm Doug Adamson, and this week I've mostly been getting ready for Edinburgh Comic Con alongside James Lundy, my co-host for this panel. James is the man who's responsible for Edinburgh Comic Con. He's done all the work. He is Edinburgh Comic Con, frankly, and you should thank him for everything that he's done for putting this event on.
No. Thank you.
James and I do a podcast online. Yeah, because that's the only way you can get podcasts. That's pretty much our level in terms of our comedy. We are very bad. But
right,
people still listen to us.
Selfie! That was terrible. Come on, give a little
Everybody wave,
energy.
come on.
Get weird.
Wave.
Woo! Okay, because this is going online, so.
Yes. So, because we're so bad, we actually had to bring somebody in to make us look better, frankly, James. And
This is true.
And so we've brought on possibly one of the best-looking actresses that I've ever met. And my wife is outside, so
How
she
many
can't hear me say
actresses
this.
have you
So I'm
met?
okay. I've met quite a few, actually.
We're in showbiz now.
We're showbiz.
Showbiz.
This is Scottish showbiz. I've met Nina and the Neurons lady, which is a Scottish joke, don't worry. So this is the fantastic Patricia Tallman, who some of you may remember from Babylon 5. Babylon 5 fans, raise your hands.
Hey!
Fantastic. We have some seats down the front if you want to move forward.
Yeah,
by
if
the way.
anyone wants to move forward, these
Guys,
people,
come on in.
Because if it says reserved and they're not here by now,
Yeah, they're
F
late.
'em.
You know, their superpower wasn't punctuality.
No.
But if you're in the front couple of
They
rows,
lost it.
move forward.
That's
You know,
it.
we don't have a bit of a fill room.
People who care can move forward.
Yeah.
Or if you're in the back and you like a seat, come and take the one in the front.
Yes.
Especially anyone in a Deadpool costume.
Oh.
I'm especially fond of Deadpool.
You like Deadpool, did
Yeah,
you?
look, there's a couple of them
Okay.
back there.
Yeah.
There's one over there.
The number of people I've seen in Deadpool costumes today is getting rather frustrating because I run a stall as well, and somebody came past and I said, "Didn't I see you like 5 minutes ago?" And it turns out that was every 5 minutes. There's another Deadpool costume coming past.
It's awesome.
It's a great film.
It is.
But talking of films, we should really be talking to our star guest. So,
Well, it makes sense.
yeah, that's why we brought you here. Okay, you're making us look a lot better just by being better looking than us too, which is not very easy.
You have a face for a podcast.
Yeah, I don't even have a face for the podcast. I don't have a face for Facebook.
And that's what they used to say, right? That
Yeah.
in radio, I have a face for radio. Now I guess we have to say that for podcast.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. I'm rambling.
So, we'd like to talk about all the work you've done. Now, you've got a fantastic career because you've been in movies. You've been in some of the biggest movies.
Is that a question?
I'm leading
You've
into
been
it.
in movies?
No. I'm leading into this. You've been in Army of Darkness 3?
Yes.
Yes?
Well,
Season,
Army of...
was it 3?
No.
Evil Dead
3.
Evil Dead, sorry, you said Evil Dead 3. I
this
didn't
is really
read my
going
notes
well.
down. I wrote down Army of Darkness. Evil Dead 3, sorry. You were also, but that was not just
Security
an actress,
take
but
him out.
also as a stunt actress.
Yes. So Evil Dead was... Bruce Campbell fans? Any? Woo! I know, right? He's just amazing. And I knew Bruce. He actually married a sorority sister of mine. That's how long I had known Bruce. I'm from the Chicago area, and he is from the Detroit area, which is so we're kind of close. It's the United States, but I don't like horror movies. They scare me.
Oh, good.
And I like ghosts, but gross stuff was not my thing. And so I didn't see the Evil Deads because that would just be too much for me. And I had the opportunity to audition for Evil Dead 3. And so I go into the audition as an actress. I'm a classically trained actress. So I'm looking for my sides. I want to prepare. I want to memorize my words. I want to go in fully prepared, and I'm wearing a dress because that's what we wear. And I show up, and it's just Rob Tappert in the room, who is Sam Raimi's producer at the time. I don't know if you know who he is. That he's married to Lucy Lawless now, and I see how I reverse engineered that for women. He's married to Lucy Lawless, and now we know who he is, right? instead of the other way around. I said, I don't have the sides yet. I'm not sure what I'm auditioning for. They said, you want me to be a witch? And I'm thinking, Shakespeare and a witch, I'm going to have actual words. And he went, no, we don't really have a script. And what you're going to do is you're going to, all right, I want you to be stirring a cauldron. And now you're going to flip out. And then, I ended up rolling around on the floor, screaming and writhing, like humping the floor. I didn't know what the heck. He just kept going. He's going, that's awesome. Now, I had done Night of the Living Dead already. So it wasn't like he couldn't see a sample of my work to know that I could handle writhing around as a witch. It was the most absurd audition I think I've ever been on. And then they told me I got the part, like days later, and I wasn't sure if that was a good thing or not. But it turned out to be kind of a lifesaver. I was in a period of my career where I was really hurting for money. And my friends I had met through Tom Savini, Greg Nicotero won, KNBFX, and they were just getting started. Now they're Oscar winners. And they said, Patty, I had said, is there any work? Do you guys know anyone for a stunt woman and some kind of one of the movies you're doing? He said, well, I need to build this army. We're building an army, and we need someone skinny, and this was a while ago when I was skinny, to build the skeleton bones on. Would you be willing to do it? And I went, yes, thank you very much. So I went in there, and I was actually, they cast my body. It looked like I was being, in Game of Thrones, the flayed man, you have the X with the flayed man. I was the flayed man in it being plastered. I was plaster of Paris, bandaged and plaster of Paris, and they took a cast of my body, and then from that, they built a dummy of my body, my claim to fame, and then they built bones on that, and that's what they put all of the extras in the Army. And I was also in the Army. I was one of about 12 stunt people. I was the only stunt woman. And we wore casts of my body, bones from my body. And then I was a Roman centurion, so I had a Roman thing over my head. And it was the problem with the costumes was that they were highly flammable. And unfortunately for us, we were shooting at night, and we had a lot of torches around. And I happened to be one of the Deadites. I had puppets all around me, but I was an actual person at the time. I'm not even sure now if I am. And I had a barricade in front of me on wheels that I pushed, but they shot flaming arrows at my barricade. The-dunk, the-dunk, the-dunk. And I'm like, oh my God. It was just the weirdest job ever.
Flammable outfit.
Yes, wearing a highly flammable outfit.
Did they pay extra for that?
Oh, hell no.
Oh.
No.
It's a good thing you mentioned Night of the Living Dead, because anybody listened to our podcast or been to our shows before will know that I hate zombies, detest zombies. I do not like zombies
either.
And you kill zombies.
Yes.
And that's awesome. And that's one of the reasons I asked to be on this panel, because every other time it's like, oh, I've played a zombie in this, I played a zombie in that. You've not played a zombie.
No, I refuse.
That's good. Thank you. What was that like to be in a film? Because that was a remake. Did you watch the original and then trying to challenge it?
At first, I wasn't sure why they were remaking it, because the first one was so amazing. It was so horrifying. But it turns out that George Romero created Night of the Living Dead, but he wrote it as Night of the Flesh Eaters. And in one of those weird Hollywood legal things, the production company that released the movie changed the name to Night of the Living Dead, but they didn't copyright it. So people could just sell his movie, make copy VHSs, and he would not get a dime of it. So in order to stop the hemorrhaging of those financial assets, he wanted to redo the movie, and he recreated my character as being more, more of a woman who, instead of melting and crying on the spot, would actually get up and kick some butt, which made it a lot more fun for me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the few zombie films I've actually been able to sit through, because I just don't like zombie films.
No.
Well, people go on about...
Well, they're gross.
I know. Who's a Walking Dead fan?
There's a
all
lot of
weird.
Walking Dead. It's
You're all
totally
weird.
fine. I
No,
get
it's
it.
not. It's terrible. It's horrible. It's full of zombies. I can't
See,
watch
and
it.
that's Greg Nicotero has gone on his company, did the effects. Now he's one of the producers on Walking Dead. So it's really been wonderful watching his career just take off. It's pretty
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, zombies, whatever.
Yeah.
Now vampires are sexy, werewolves kind of sexy, zombies not
No,
sexy.
no, they're just decaying corpses, people.
Ugh.
You shouldn't be cheering them on at any point. I do
No.
read the comic, but you've not just done stuff in Earthbound or horror. The big thing I think most people know is Babylon 5.
Babylon 5, I think, is probably
Now,
more popular.
a number of people in this audience are massive Babylon 5 fans. So many so, and I can tell you, I can see a few faces. We used to have a fan club in Edinburgh called
Awesome.
Edinburgh Alliance that was about Babylon 5.
Wow.
Edinburgh Alliance fans? Members? Yeah, see?
Thank you.
It's not just
yeah.
me.
Well, we were lucky. I mean, we had Joe Straczynski writing it, and he
Yeah.
wrote something pretty incredible. He was the first person to put that 5-year arc into place. You know, a lot of shows do that now. It was a really unusual. It was unusual for the time.
Well, in my opinion, it's the best TV show that's ever been made because it was groundbreaking. Everything else that's come along since, it's done the arcs, copies the concept.
Yeah.
Now, you appeared in the pilot,
I did.
and then you didn't reappear for some time.
Right.
Was that Joe messing with you?
No, well, it was the other producers messing with me. Let's see. Yeah, so I was in the pilot, and we were getting ready to, hoping that they would go to series. And then there was this whole negotiation process that went down for once we got the series. And when they talked to all the other actors, and it wasn't happening for me. And I kept checking in with Joe, like, what's going on? I haven't heard anything. Andreas said he's got a contract. Peter said he's got a contract. I haven't heard anything. And should I be worried? No. I mean, I wrote the role for you. So, no, it's good. You're good. When it came around to me, they offered me what was the equivalent of minimum wage. And I made more as a stunt person at the time. And I thought, well, I told my lawyer, I have to turn this down. Hopefully, let's counteroffer. And I countered with something that was completely reasonable. And when I had shot the pilot, that had given me a ballpark number of what would be fair and we divided that into the week, and we asked for that weekly, and it was still terrible money, to be honest. Mm-hmm. But it was worth it. It's a show I wanted to do. And they turned that down and said, nope, it's take it or leave it, minimum wage or nothing. And I said, nothing, I'm not gonna do it. I called Joe, I was hysterical, I was a mess. And he said, they had waited until he had gone to New York to do some other things, that he was out of town that weekend. This is before we had instantaneous communications like we do now. We still walked around with pagers and had to find payphones back in those days to make a call. So I couldn't talk to Joe until he got back. And he said, I heard you asked for, I think it was $15,000 a week. And I said, no, I asked for $5,000. Because that was what they paid me on the pilot. So I said it was commensurate with what you already have paid me. It wasn't even a raise from that. And he was shocked and appalled, but there was nothing he could do. They had already hired Andrea Thompson. I was at, later, flash forward a couple years, I'm at a party, a Babylon 5 party. I think it was our Christmas holiday party, and one of the producers who was responsible, I knew he was responsible because I wouldn't sleep with him. Right. It's true, absolutely true. I knew him from college, and he was married and kept hitting on me, and I wouldn't go for it. And he waited until he kind of got me alone in a place I wasn't busy, and he said, "How did you get back on this show?" And I just smiled. What are you going to say? It was horrifying. Oh, well, I'm back on the show. Yeah, so it was...
I didn't want
I didn't want to antagonize him because I didn't know what if he got me kicked off now. I'd get sucked out an airline. It could still happen, So it's just Hollywood. Ugh. Yeah.
Now, when you're doing stunt work, when you turned down Belfast, was that when you were on Jurassic Park? Was it roughly that sort of time?
Well, and that's kind of the book I wrote. Nice segue. Nice segue.
He's a
took
professional.
notes.
He took notes.
Take
Okay,
notes.
so I wrote this book called Pleasure Thresholds, and I get the title from my audition scene with Andreas Koutsulis. That's how I met Andreas. That was we auditioned together, and he propositioned me to find out what my pleasure threshold was. And then in our last scene together, I say, I don't know. I don't have one, kind of. So they thought it was a nice bookend for my book. It's about the 5 years I was shooting Babylon 5 and all the things I was doing in between, which was all the Star Trek shows. I did Jurassic Park in that period. I had a child in between the pilot and when I came back in the second season, I had a baby. We call him an earthquake baby. We got hit with a really big earthquake in 1994. January 94,
Yes.
and in my birthing class, there were all these women going, I don't know what happened, we got pregnant, and, except for the lesbian couple. They were the only ones that had planned their baby. The rest of us were taken by surprise. Anyway, so a lot had happened, a lot went on in those 5 years for me, and when Joe produced those. I don't know if you guys know this Babylon 5 script books that went out. His publisher asked him, said, we're looking for something that's a little more fan-friendly. And he said, well, call up Tallman. She was completely obnoxious on the set with her camera. So all the pictures in the book, it's filled with pictures. It started off as just a picture book. I just wanted to do a scrapbook. I didn't consider myself a writer. And so all the pictures are mine from behind the scenes and things that I took, and you won't really see them from anywhere else. And what I did was I ran out of books, but I made a printing for this tour that Claudia and I started off doing down in actually over in Paris and then in the UK. I made 40 books. I think I have 7 left. And after they're gone, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to re-edit it into something else. It'll be part of a bigger package and cost around $100. So these are 25 pounds.
Over
That's a
there.
bargain.
And yeah, I'm hoping that
I'm trying to see how many people are running for it right
Oh, my
now, but
gosh.
I think they're going to wait to your back of your
Oh
table.
yeah, well yeah, exactly. So that's that. But it was an amazingly intense 5 years, and in writing the book, the blessing that I found was that I got a chance to kind of relive it a little bit. While I was actually doing it, it all went so fast that I was dancing as fast as I can, as the phrase go, and I had an infant for most of it. So it's a blur. And when I actually sat down and I looked at the picture, I was, oh yeah, that happened. Oh, I met him. I forgot all about it.
Yes.
All right, I'm sorry, I'm yammering on.
No.
We are going to get to. We want you to ask questions, and you won't have to listen to me.
Yes. Well, they'll have.
Go on and
you'll
on.
have to answer them.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, they will have to listen to you.
yeah. that's-
Because if it's me and James answering the questions, we're
That
gonna
would
get
be
everything wrong.
dumb.
I even got the name of their film wrong, and I've written it down. That's how bad I am.
All right. yeah.
Anyway,
True that.
one other thing I just want to quickly mention before we open up to the floor of questions. You were in Castle.
Castle.
Yes.
I think there's a picture
Any
in here.
Castle fans in here? Yes.
Can I just say that Nathan Fillion is the nicest man on the planet? He is I've worked with a lot of people, and I have never met anyone nicer. There you go.
Ah, yes. Well, you can see this when you buy the book. Don't show
I'll
them.
show it. You can't really.
Don't show-
It's
Yeah.
just what
No
it is.
zooming,
This
no zooming.
moment in time. So look, I love how small our world is. When I found out I was on Castle, the stunt coordinator on Castle was the stunt coordinator for Star Trek, and I've done over 50 episodes of Star Trek, mostly as a stunt person. So Dennis gets on Castle, and he keeps trying to get me on. He says, I got to get you on the ship. I want to get you on the ship. But I'm gigantic. And so everybody on Castle is this little tiny, they have all of these little tiny guest stars, or they have these people that have to fit inside closets and things, so they wouldn't hire me. I'm 5'9", 140 pounds. I'm a big woman. So finally he got a role where I didn't have to double anybody else, and I could just be myself, and I'm stuffed in a couch. So there's plenty of room. And I had a little bit of an acting thing and some flashback stuff, so it was really nice. But my first days on the set, I had got called in like at 4 in the morning, and I'm so excited I don't sleep all night. And I'm getting made up as a corpse because I'm going to be on the mortuary table. But they did this lovely thing on the mortuary table. They actually put down a little towel and they warm it up for you. So it's not actually that freezing cold aluminum. But the cast of Castle are giants, just like we were on all Babylon 5. I think Stana is like 5'10", Nathan's 6'2". So the actual table is raised up on platforms to get it up high enough, for the cast to make it shoot, with the cameras and everything and the lights. Then they brought me in early to get me all situated, and I have on this, they gave me a little a nude, flesh-colored bandeau and flesh-colored panties. And then they cover me with a sheet, and I've got the autopsy stitches, the big autopsy Y. And I look completely disgusting, and they slick your hair back, and they put veins, and I'm like, with a big ice pick had been in my neck. A glamorous way to die. So I'm laying there in the lights. Camera is setting up, and I'm just supposed to lay. So my head is on a chalk. The little corpse chalk they put your little ceramic thing about this big. You put your head in. I fell asleep. I was up early, and it's warm and quiet, and then I can't do anything anyway. I fell asleep. So then I kind of come to, and I don't open my eyes yet. I can hear the actors, and they're setting up the shot, and they're talking. So I stay quiet, and they're moving people around, and then the stand-ins come in, the actors go out for their setup, and I fell back asleep. I woke up when we were shooting, and nobody told me. Nobody bothered to wake me up or something. And I kind of went, ooh, I moved a little bit. But they weren't on me, so it was fine. And I'm just going, okay, all right, I'll just stay here. And then I fell asleep again. And when I woke up the last time, everyone was gone. They left me laying there on the slab. Nobody came for me. And my little bandeau top had come, it was stupid. And so I have no clothes on. It had come all the way. And I've got the sheets, so I'm like, where's it? I guess I got to pee. All right. So I kind of get the sheet around me, and I'm trying to get up because it's way up there. I can't trying to get down. And Nathan Fillion runs back in the room. He said, Pat, oh my God, I just wanted to come back and tell you what a big fan I am. I'm like, he said, I loved you in Night of the Living Dead. You were amazing in Babylon 5. I mean, really, we are so... I told the crew, do you know who this is laying here on the table? I said, was I asleep? He said, I thought it was weird you didn't answer. And my friend Kurt, who was props on Babylon 5, he's props on Castle. This is what I love about our business. He came in with his camera and got this picture. And I'm thinking, now I get to meet you. Now all the fantasies I've had, and I've got a Y incision. Really? And then he had to split for his job, and and then I went on for my day. But that was my encounter with Nathan Fillion. He was, yeah.
Well, it's memorable.
Very memorable. I also was kind of wired into the couch on another day with an ice pick, and I bled all over. And it's the day they discover me and they talk about me. And he was so lovely that I couldn't move from the couch. He would come over and sit there, just off, so he wasn't quite in the blood spot, and hang out and talk to me.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, he's the nicest guy.
He does come across as an incredibly nice guy.
Yeah, and he really is.
Everything he does.
Really
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, we've covered pretty much everything I've got on my list, apart from one thing.
Sorry, I do
which
this.
we'll cover at the end. So it's now time for questions. So we've got a man...
A Klingon over here.
Two people. So
All
we'll
right.
start with the Klingon.
You always start with the Klingons, trust me.
Kapla.
Hello, baby.
Hello there, little one. Straightforward question. What's the strangest thing that happened to you while you were doing Babylon 5?
The strangest thing? Gills. I got a script delivered to my house because Joe would never tell you anything about what was going on. And I get a script, and I'm reading the script, just going, okay. I only look for my scenes.
Available in the book. Remember
I'm just
this.
looking for, where am I?
Only
Where's
£25
Lita?
at the
Where's
table.
Lita? And then Lita, and I look at, and it goes, Gills? What the hell? When I had to come in really early for those prosthetics, they put the gills in, and the crew. Some of you may remember this commercial. I don't know if you had Budweiser here. Did you guys ever have Budweiser? Do you remember the Budweiser frogs?
Oh yeah.
So the crew very quietly, Bud, why, sir? Because my going. We didn't do the gills after that. I think I had gills in 2 episodes, and then we got rid of them. But that was probably one of the weirder things. That anytime I had to work with Jerry Doyle.
Yes.
Thank
Yes, he's a radio, talk
Yeah,
radio
yeah,
guy,
shock
right?
jock. He's a shock
that's it. I
jock.
was trying to think of the right words, but yes. So, any other questions? We had a hand up down the front here.
Hi.
This lady here.
Get this one here, and then can you keep your hands up just for 2 seconds so we know where to point you next time? Right, okay, so you'll be next.
For what you were talking about a minute ago, lying on the slab,
Yeah.
I just wanted to say there's a Scottish show called Scotch and Rye, and there's a classic scene. The guy wakes up in the mortuary after a drunken party, and he goes, "I'm in the mortuary. I must be dead."
I've been there.
I know that's...
I must be dead.
Must be deed.
I can't.
Hootsman.
You
Is that dead? That's
that's
that's.
dead.
you didn't
yeah.
think that, you wake up there, how did I get here? You remembered how you got there.
Yeah. That was, yeah, I did remember, but
No nightmares.
I
after
missed
that.
everything. I missed the whole scene.
No recurring nightmares since
No,
then.
no.
Oh, that's good.
That
I fall asleep in the dentist chair. I can fall asleep anywhere, but that was a good one.
That's good. Okay, gentleman over there.
Hey, I was wondering how you got into the stunt woman side of your career.
What about the stunt woman side?
How is it that you got into it?
I fell into it. Oh. Sorry. I think it's something I always wanted to do. I'm very physical. I'm an amateur athlete. I box, and I have a second-degree black belt in kickboxing. I just love doing it. And when I was taking a period sword technique class in New York, because I'm a nerd, and I met some stunt people in that class. One of them was a stunt coordinator, and he looked at me and said, I have an actress 5'9" with red hair. I need to double her on a soap opera. Would you do it? And I went, yes, because I'm a bonehead. And I had to fall down some stairs for her wearing a negligee, as women do. What is this? Why do we always imperil in our underwear? I've never worn underwear so much in public as when I'm doing stunts, because it seems like whenever an actress is in peril, she's in her underwear. So anyway, sorry, that was a digression. But yeah, that's how I got into it. I met people, and then you kind of apprentice with other stunt people. I didn't really even think of it as a job or a career. It was back in those days. It was in the 80s when I started. Yeah, we didn't know about it so much, and once I realized this is a whole career, I loved it. It was better. At the time, I was working in the little girls department in Macy's in between acting jobs. So yeah, it was a lot better than that.
Now, just to pick up, you said about athlete stuff. Now, you've got that new business I've been reading about, because I do a bit of Facebook stalking. So
You do Facebook. I love that.
Not when my wife's are watching, I hasten to add. James, you do the same. Your wife's running your stall, my wife's running my stall. They can't hear us, we're fine. It's not getting
She'll
recorded,
find
right?
out.
She'll find out. That's
Sorry,
what did you just say?
Sorry, have you got the translator there?
She'll find.
She will find out.
Out. Aye.
Okay.
James
the
and I-
Canadians are kind of like that, but this is ridiculous.
Yeah, James and I were brought up in roughly the same part of the Scotland, so we have the same sort of
I
colloquialism.
have family up in Inverness.
No, we're the opposite
I can't
end.
understand
We're-
them either.
Don't worry. So, can you talk about that business
Oh, well,
thing?
thank you. Yeah, so I've started, I mean, I am still acting, but as you get older in this business, you become worthless. At least that's what they tell me. I'm doing more theater, which I love, but I started this business because I love traveling, and I love being a nerd, and I love doing things that excite me, and I figured there's got to be other people that would like to do this with me. And so when I went to Hawaii for a convention, and they had these things you could do, zip lining and snorkeling, and you go scuba diving with manta rays, and I did everything. I wanted to do everything. But what was happening is they were just kind of putting all of us who wanted to do it on a bus and saying, goodbye, have a good time. And I said, what you need is a mama bear. You need a cruise director. You need somebody who's got it. And they said, great, would you do it? And I went, yes. Wow, are you kidding me? So then I built this I took this idea and I kind of ran with it. And I had people who come and they hang out with me for the week. And part of what we do is HawaiiCon. and we do these excursions, and I run the excursions with everybody else for HawaiiCon. But then my people and I are also doing other things, and it was a great success. We had a wonderful time. So I'm planning one for London. I was last October. I was doing my geeky thing, and I'm looking up all things Harry Potter, and
Yes, because I've seen you went around the Harry Potter Centre.
oh,
Lots of
no,
photos.
I know I'm ridiculous. And there was this thing that's happening called a play, and J.K. Rowling turned the eighth book into a play. It continues the story, and I went nuts. So I registered immediately to buy tickets. You had to register, and then I got in the queue on the 27th when you could buy 6 tickets and only 6 tickets. And I was trying for May. I got them for November. And I was in that queue right away, but there were 10,000 people in front of me in the queue. And then of course the website glitches and kicked me back out. I had to come back, and now there's 17,000 in front of me. It took me 10 hours before I was able to buy my tickets. And then when they went on sale to the public, I went back in and I was able to buy 5 more tickets for the same performances. So I can take 11 people with me. I was so excited I was in tears. So I figure, I know it's very specific, but there's got to be 10 people on the planet that would think this is cool. So that's what I'm doing. I'm creating a whole week around those tickets, and then we're going to the studio tour, and I've created a Sherlock Holmes thing and Doctor Who, and the whole thing is just going to be all the things that we geek out to. And I know that you guys in the UK are so over it, but for us in the States, this is amazing. And I do have one woman coming from Moscow because she's so excited about it. So I'm doing that, and I'm just creating more as I go. The next one, the big one that I got to get started on, is going to be New Zealand. I'm going to do a whole Lord of the Rings thing. And I want to do a Pirates of the Caribbean, actually, on board a boat. I'm going forward with this, and I'm going to do a couple every year, with HawaiiCon always happening, because Hawaii. I am a beach girl, and there's nothing better.
Have you been to Portobello yet? It's a local joke.
I gathered that. Are there penguins?
We have penguins.
I
at the
know,
zoo.
I was looking for them. I haven't seen them yet.
Oh, they're at the zoo.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, really? At the zoo?
Yeah,
What
the
about
zoo.
puffins?
Oh, yes, we do have puffins at the zoo.
But they're more up north, right? There's, what?
bears.
Really? Mm-hmm. I want to see those.
Well, we'll sort something out. A tour. Yeah, that's an idea. So back to questions. Anybody else got any other questions in the room? We've only got the Klingon with his hand up. We're ignoring him because he's a Klingon.
There's 2 ladies
Sorry.
right here.
We'll get back to you. Yes, we've got.
What's the scariest stunt you've ever had to do?
I hate heights. The scariest stunts, anything has to do with heights. I mean, I even had to, climbing upstairs is nerve-wracking. And what seems to happen is I keep getting these jobs that, for Gina Davis, I'm hanging off a crane. I think that was the worst one. But actually, maybe not the worst one. Oh, I know the worst one. Because the one with Gina, that was really high, but I was on a wire and there was nothing I could do about it. You know what I mean? So all I had to do was try not to wet my pants. Seriously. I'm not kidding. I was trying really hard not to wet my pants. I did get a nosebleed. I was hanging upside down. But the scariest one, my knees were actually buckling. I had to run. I was on a drawbridge, and I had to run up the drawbridge as it's opening and leap over and grab a rail and hang on. Yeah, that was horrible. That gives me nightmares.
Yeah, I've got fear of heights.
That was bad.
I can't even imagine doing that.
Yeah, so anything having to do with heights
Whoa.
is horrible. I had to do that for Laura Dern. I was climbing on some dinosaur bones, and I was way up in the air. That was nerve-wracking.
Wow. I wouldn't want to do that.
There's a question over here.
Speaking of Laura Dern,
Hi, yes. You mentioned Harry Potter. I was just actually wondering which Hogwarts house you would be in.
I would probably be in Gryffindor, or I might be Slytherin, because I'm a badass. I'd like to think that I'm badass on the good side. I really think I pretty much am. I have a really strong sense of justice. And I don't think the Slytherins do. I think Slytherins are a little more out for themselves. I'm just saying. But so maybe Gryffindor.
And if you could,
I'm not smart enough to be a Hufflepuff. Ravenclaw.
if you could do stunts for anyone in Harry Potter, who would you have done?
I would have to. Yeah, it would probably have to be Hermione. Although I'm twice her size. Maybe Maggie Smith. Because McGonagall had to run around a little bit. You know, you laugh, but I got to double Angela Lansbury when she was in her 80s. And it was the best job ever, because she's like a legend to me. And all I had to do was run out into the street and go, you know, just to stop a car that was going very slowly. And I hit a bad guy with my handbag. And, you know, and the rest of the time I got her tea. And I hung out with her. And occasionally she'd say, oh, have Pat do that. And so it was just on my back or something I'd stand in for her. It was awesome. So I'd be totally down for being McGonagall.
Is McGonagall in the new play? New Harry Potter play?
I
'Cause you could-
don't know. Nobody knows.
Maybe
I
you
mean,
should try an audition.
we know. Yeah, no, because I'm not English. But they have, we know there's Harry or Scott. I'm not even,
Neither
no,
are we.
I can't be
So I
anything.
didn't mean to, like, but it, yeah.
No, you're right. I have Scottish blood, but that's not the same. I'm really American mutt. We know there's Harry, Ron, and Hermione and their families. We will see those characters as adults, but we don't really know who else is in the play. It's very hush-hush.
Oh, well. Okay. we've
Over
got more
there, there's
question.
somebody?
Yeah.
Good afternoon. Hello again.
Hello.
I was not expecting a microphone.
You don't really need one, do you?
I told you earlier we were just
Yeah.
rewatching Babylon 5 by coincidence, and the episode where Kosh's replacement gets kicked off the station.
Kosh Vader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Lita takes a big tumble. Did you do your own stunt for that, or did you coach your double?
I didn't. I hired a friend of mine. When they said, do you want to do it? I went, no. So they hired a stunt woman friend of mine, and she got a day rate for it, which is good. The Kosh Vader scene, does everyone know what he's talking about when they destroy Bad Kosh? That was actually a gigantic cluster something.
Yeah.
Because
Omnishambles.
Oh, yeah, as I look at the young man over there. They had set up the shot to have the explosion happen, and they put Kosh all together, and they put the explosions together, and while we were all waiting for it to happen, we hear a big kaboomy, and Kosh just had blown up. And the cameras were not rolling or anything, and that was very, very bad. So then they set up the second Kosh. Luckily, they had another helmet, and they set up the second Kosh, and we're all waiting, and now we're waiting longer because this is like another 2-hour setup, which is a very, very bad thing. When you're in television and you're delayed by 15 minutes, it's a bad thing. 2 hours is a very bad thing. We're waiting. I'm sitting with Bruce. We're just talking. We're, have our tea, and kaboomy. Kosh blew up again. Bruce and I left the set so that they could have a discussion with special effects. And the discussion we could hear out at crash service on the other sound stage. That was a major day. So one of the kind of weird things that happened at the end of that day is I was leaving for the night. I'm walking through the sound stages on the way, and there's this big, they sweep and clean up at the end of the night, and there's the big broom, and there's the garbage, and there's a bunch of purple chips, fragments, just sitting on the ground there. And I look in the trash, and there's this broken helmet. And I kind of just put them in my bag.
Ooh.
I just thought, that's not a way for Kosh to go, even if he was a bastard. So I still have it.
That's
I still have
fantastic.
chips of Kosh on his head.
Have you stolen anything else? Sorry, liberated anything else from the set?
I have a Lita jacket. And wardrobe snuck it out to me. When they were breaking down the sets and putting things away, I saw that they were putting things away in a dumpster. They were just throwing it all out. So I said to my wardrobe lady, I wasn't going to steal it, but I said, is there anything, can I have any of my wardrobe? Do you have anything I could have? And they were like, no, we can't give you anything. And they gave, so I got one of my black jackets, so.
You see, you'd think now, they wouldn't do that. They'd just stick it on eBay. And
I,
kind
well,
of
probably now they would.
pay for season 6.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sad. Yeah.
I was also going to ask, earlier this year, at the Glasgow Film Festival, there was a fascinating talk by a gentleman who you will probably be familiar with, Mr. Vic Armstrong.
Uh-huh.
And for those who don't know who he is, you may not know the name, but trust me, you have seen the back of his head.
Oh, you've known his work. Yeah.
He was Harrison Ford's stunt double on the first 3 Indiana Jones and on Return of the Jedi. He has been a stunt coordinator for many years. And I was wondering, he started as a stuntman himself. Is stunt coordination, and particularly, it's very much a man's business. But you have women contacts.
Yep.
There is so much more for women in action cinema now. Is that
It's
something
better
you
now.
do?
Yeah, it's a lot better. No, I'm not interested. Been there, done that. You know what I mean? I love action work, and I wanted to be an action actress before there was a word for that. You know, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be Indiana Jones. But they're really, back when I was getting started in the very late 70s into the early 80s, that was not happening. And I did the best I could, and I followed my own path. But, you know, and I did get to be Barbara, who was, I mean, Sigourney Weaver had done that in Alien, but there was nothing else. So I really was able to be kind of a kick-ass character before that was happening for women in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what's up for me next. Theater is really important to me, and then my Quest Retreats, questretreats.com, if you care to check it out. That's what I'm interested in right now.
Do you have any more questions? I thought I saw a hand raising. Yeah,
The Klingon,
the
you better
Klingon's
give
back.
it to him.
It's all right, yeah.
Yeah.
He's not that dangerous.
That's what you think. What are your memories of doing Trek?
Of doing Trek? Yeah, I was very fortunate enough to be able to do Babylon 5 and Star Trek. And I really didn't talk about, with my producers on Babylon 5, that I was on a Star Trek set. I didn't bring it up at all. Like I said, Dennis Matalone, who was our stunt coordinator on Star Trek, he was very loyal to us. I was a really good size to double a lot of actresses, and he just kept bringing me back on the ship. I had uniforms in every color in wardrobe with my name in the tape in the back, and you know, I'd show up and they'd stick another thing on my face. Those things always looked like private parts to me. I was like, what are you doing, really? Oh my God. And they'd tease my hair out, or they'd put a wig on me, and I would be somebody else. And it was kind of magical. I belonged to the gym on the Paramount lot because I was there all the time. I knew all the security guys wave on my way in. It was amazing. It was an amazing time. I'm very, very blessed. The thing is, though, the difference between Paramount and then where we were shooting Babylon 5, they built 3 sound stages in an old warehouse in this area called Sunland in California, in north of Los Angeles proper. And our parking lot was right next to a recycling dump and an Orange Bang building. Orange Bang was this horrible drink. And when they never put a sign out front that said Babylonian Productions or anything like that, the only way you'd know is over by the parking lot, there was an Alien Crossing sign with like a Pakmara and a Vorlon and, you know, and a Drazi cross. That was very, very low key. We all ate together in tents out in the back parking lot and would often smell the recycling dump while we were eating. I lost weight on Babylon 5. And we had these very rinky-dink trailers, but the great thing was we were our own little unit out there. You know, we were our own little village, and we were a family. Everybody got along. There were no attitudes were allowed. Bruce Boxleitner was a great... He and Nathan Fillion were very similar in that they ran the ship. You know, they didn't let anybody get ego-wise. That just was not cool. And if we had a guest director in or guest star in that wasn't cool, they were never invited back. So we had that going on. For Paramount, it's a whole other thing, right? It's a corporation. It's a gigantic lot right in the middle of Los Angeles. And those suits could come down anytime they wanted and visit the set, right? So you didn't have the same intimacy or the same freedom. It was interesting, the one day that I had a topless scene with Robin Atkin-Downs, who played Byron. That was the day the producer chose to bring a bunch of suits down for lunch. Luckily, we had our first AD, that was a woman named Pam, and she would not let them in. She was like, nope, closed set. Thanks, guys. Jerry Doyle tried to come in, and he said, I'll take off my pants if I can. Sorry.
That doesn't surprise me.
No, he really did. He really did. King England.
So, any more questions?
I'm sorry, you guys. I just digress. I ramble on and on.
That's why you're here.
Okay.
Don't worry about that. Nobody here is complaining, right?
People are getting up and leaving. I don't know what to do.
They're joining the queue for your book.
Oh, yeah.
For a very visually heavy show, it's the understated character moments that seem to be the ones I remember most from Babylon 5. So I'm specifically thinking of the one with yourself and Jeff Conaway in the elevator, and he delivers this long single-shot monologue. And how do you keep any emotion from your face?
That's a good scene. That was this is a little story to that. So I didn't understand a word except for the little bit in there. Maybe you understood that. But he was asking about the scene that Jeff Conaway and I end up in the elevator, and I'm possessed by Vorlons. And I'm just kind of mumbling, and I'm having a really bad hair day. And Jeff has this enormous monologue. So what happened was, honestly, Joe had written this thing called Third Space, the movie of the week. Third Space, he timed it out. They were shooting it. He's 3 minutes short. He had to add 3 minutes. So he wrote that scene one night. The whole thing is Jeff, 3 minutes of Jeff talking. And I do nothing but mumble. And he sent it to Jeff that night. We were the first scene up in the morning. Jeff did it word perfect, brilliantly, first time, first take. The crew gave him a standing ovation. He was amazing. I mean, that's what a theater actor does, right? I mean, he totally handled it. He was wonderful. Yeah, I really miss Jeff. Yeah. A very kind, good-hearted, sweet man. Yeah, thanks for asking about that, because I really, that's a fond memory, just how brilliant he was. Yeah.
Following on from that, we have lost a disproportionate number of the cast of Babylon 5. And I know you see Claudia, because you've just been hanging out. Do you see any of the others, and how are they all doing?
Yeah, we were all just together less than a year ago. We did San Diego Comic-Con. I created a panel. I just thought, oh, I've never done this before. Let me try this. So everybody showed up. It was so nice. But I see Claudia, Mira, Billy regularly. We have dinner together and stuff, or we go hiking or something. Not necessarily all four of us at the same time, but we live in the same area. We all live in the valley. Peter moved away, and we all got really upset with him for moving away. What are you doing? But we talk to him every once in a while. Bruce has been more busy because he's been shooting in Vancouver. He's been really hard to get a hold of. But Jerry, I hired Jerry and Claudia to do a little video thing. I was hired to produce for B5 Books. So I brought Jerry and Claudia together for that, and we had a blast. Yeah, they're just good people, you know? I mean, that's what I mean. I found that this is unusual, that a cast stays together like this. And whenever we do get a chance to be together, like when I put together the panel, everybody came back with an enthusiastic, absolutely, are you kidding? I get to hang out with you guys? Sure, you know? So it was really sweet. It's very, very sweet.
Do you think the closeness is just sheer luck, or do you think there was a bit of work by the casting and Joe?
No, you know, they don't know. I think it is you do your best when you cast, and I think that everyone's hoping for that magical chemistry. And the shows that you love, where the chemistry you can't help, you know, like on Firefly, right? The chemistry of that cast and the blend of those personalities are so good. That's magic. You do your best, but then you hope for the best. So I don't think anyone could have predicted that.
No, just now, talking of Babylon 5, there have been rumors of a remake or a sequel or something in the movie, in the movie, because I think Joe Straczynski still has the rights for movies, but the TV rights are tied up to
Warner Brothers.
What do you know?
So I asked Joe, because actually I think you tipped me off that this might be a question. So I emailed Joe and asked him. I knew Joe's been super busy with his other show. So I said, what do you want me to tell people? And he said that he is super busy on other things. He's trying to build his credibility, and so that he can get the financing in place to do a Babylon 5 movie. In other words, there's nothing in place, and there's no guarantees. It's Hollywood. It's very difficult. So I know Joe has something in mind. I know that I'm sure he knows exactly how he wants to do it. I'm sure he has a ballpark budget that he needs to pull that off. So we can only hope for the best. I also know personally from conversations with him that he is not interested in crowdfunding. He's not interested in Kickstarter or doing any of that stuff, because when Veronica Mars was having that success, I said, Joe, we could totally do this. We could totally do this.
Totally.
And he just went, no, he doesn't get it. It's not comfortable with it. It's not how he wants to do it.
When he was notorious, not in a bad way, but he had complete control on
Yeah.
storylines, and
Yeah.
I don't think he'd be the sort of guy who would want to give anything away to the Kickstarter.
I have no idea. I agree. You know, he is a control freak. He's a self-admitted control freak. I'm not telling you.
I don't think he's a bad control freak.
Oh, I do.
Okay, right. Well, you can say that.
I do.
He might be a guest at a future time, so I'm not allowed to say these things.
Oh, you can tell. I mean,
say what you like.
no, I don't give a shit anymore. It's one of the great things about getting older, ladies. You know, give a shit anymore. It's really fun. Yeah, no, Joe he's always, part of that is awesome because of what he did do with Babylon 5, and I know that you all appreciate that. But I also personally think that there could have been some other input that would have been wonderful. That could have been really nice. And he could have 86'd it if it wasn't going in the direction that he wanted it to go. But I think some new ideas is not a bad thing, personally. And in a writer's room, when you have a writer's room, you can have writers who write for a character. So if he was really concerned about being the voices of Londo and Jakar, he could have been. He could always be that. You know, so a lot of writers' rooms, you'll have a writer who's assigned a character. And when that character's up, that writer writes for that character because they got it. You know, they have it. So I personally think it would have been a good thing.
Right, gent down the front.
Sorry, you've mentioned that you're more of a theatrical actress. Is there a particular theatrical role that you've always wished you could do and haven't had a chance to do yet?
You know, he's asking about if there's a theatrical role I'd always wished. Did you mean like in a theater, or do you mean in movies? No, theater. In theater. In a play. Yes, you know why I make that distinction? Because LA, being as lame as it is, uses theatrical to say movies. It really pisses me off. It's not, but they say theatrical. So that's why I asked. I love Shakespeare. And I have done Rosalind and As You Like It, and it was such a joy. So I'm sure there's places that I would love to go with. And a Beatrice, oh my God, right? Yeah, I don't know. I might be a little too long in the tooth for that. But I was thinking, a friend of mine's having a resurgence in her career now that she's older, and she's let her hair go gray. She's got long gray hair, and she's getting hired to play those kind of eccentric, wonderful, older female witchy characters. And I would love to play. I think that Sigourney Weaver has always been kind of a hero of mine. She gets some great roles. But we need more kick-ass older women. You know, I mean, Harrison Ford is 1,000 years old, and he's still doing it, and we still love him.
And crashing planes.
Did he crash another one?
No, well, he's done one.
Oh, okay.
That's enough.
I know.
One is enough.
One is enough. Yeah, I just think, you know, we have the guys doing it. Why can't we have some women that are Helen Mirren in Red, and, you know, oh, come on, we could do that. I would love to do that. To be a mentor for somebody else.
Right,
you know?
I think we're running out of time, so we'll take one more question. The man's already got the microphone, so we don't have to hunt for that.
You mentioned that you are still in touch with Joe, and he is working on a new show, which is in fact the much anticipated adaptation of Kim Stanley Robinson's Red Mars, Green Mars, Blue Mars trilogy. Which is the definitive text on terraforming. If you've been chatting to him, can you give us even a vague shape of how things are progressing?
I have no idea.
After all that big long question,
hang on,
and you're cut off with it. No,
that is
no idea.
Sorry,
Michael, that is you.
What
I've not got
did
my
you
glasses
just say?
on now.
What
Okay.
the hell was
It's
that?
geek chocolate. That's
That's what I hear. That's what I hear. I'm so sorry.
See you.
I know. I'm embarrassed.
And James and I are
I'm
doing our
trying-
best Queen's English. We are trying our best.
Well, you're fine. It's when he talks, I'm baffled.
Oh, wow. I'm so using that when my wife
I think
complains.
it's great, and Americans love accents. We don't have accents.
Americans speak better English than me.
What did you just say?
What is that all about?
A boot? I love it. I love it. No, it's
We'll get a Babel fish for you later.
a what?
Babel fish.
Babblefish.
Babel fish.
Got it. All right. Babel, is that what it is? It's supposed to be Babel? Tower of Babel?
No. Well, yeah, sort of, yeah.
It's Tower of
the Douglas
Babel.
Adams thing.
I know. I know it is.
Okay, I'm just checking.
I'm sorry,
Oh,
you
dear.
guys. I don't know. It's fun. I think it's really fun.
Cool. Right. Well, we are supposed to be off here in about 5 minutes to give you, but there was one thing I was going to ask you about. Yeah. You've got a charity that you work
Oh,
for.
thank you. Yeah.
Penny Lane or something.
Penny Lane.
That's it.
Penny Lane, named after the Beatles song. I have been volunteering for Penny Lane for about 25 years now. I started a program for them 24 years ago. And many of you probably know about it because I have gotten donations, and thank you so much. But we create a holiday for the kids because they don't have one otherwise. And it's really special to my heart. And last year was probably our best year ever. We had a series of really bad years because in the States as well as other places in the world, the economy has crashed, and so people just haven't had the money to donate elsewhere. But last year, for some reason, I think my reach, it went a little more viral or something, and there were small donations, but I got a lot more in. And I've been like downsizing in my house. I gave away all these Christmas ornaments through Penny Lane to put in their charity shop. And I show up for the holiday party, and they've decorated. They've done all the decorating, and it's all my Christmas decorations. I was in tears all evening. It was so sweet, and the kids had a great time. And we have a Father Christmas that comes in, not the Santa Claus, but the old, the Father Christmas. He has a big green cloak with fur, and he wears holly in his hair, and he really does have long white hair and a big white beard, and the big British accent. Yeah. So, and he's British, and it's really a special and beautiful day. And I give the kids gift cards to the local mall so they can all go shopping for their own thing. Because teenagers, I refuse to try to buy for them anymore. That's ridiculous. And we give them a gift bag like stocking stuffers, personal care products, candy, coloring books, art things. Just things that are kind of fun. Cool. For the holidays. So yes. And Penny Lane's an amazing organization that takes care of the kids year round. I just take on the holidays for them so that they can be freed up. And
that's great.
Yeah.
And I also saw that you've donated to our, our charity stand here.
Sure.
For those of you who haven't been round, we've got a charity stand where we're raising money for Cash for Kids, which is a local charity, and Patricia's put something on there for you. So
thank you.
So,
a few things.
Thank you very much for that. Much appreciated.
My pleasure. No
yes. It is very nice. Now, you can buy raffle tickets from a Klingon.
Raffle tickets from the Klingon.
Make sure he gives you a receipt. Just saying.
He's not Ferengi.
He's not Ferengi. Good point.
He's a Klingon.
He's a Klingon. That's fine. Make sure he doesn't puncture you when he hands back the tickets. The other thing to mention, for those of you who haven't seen it, obviously I hope you will have it, is we do have a fantastic Babylon 5 model, which has been built by one of my friends.
It's amazing. It rotates and everything.
I know. He only managed to get the motor working last night, I think, an hour before he brought it over here.
Wow.
It's an amazing, fantastic model.
It's really beautiful.
Built from scratch.
And he's got a bunch of other things, too.
Oh, yes.
I mean,
he's got loads. He's got Star Wars Blockade Runners and Star Destroyers, etc. The thing I want to mention about the Babylon 5 model is he keeps getting asked, is this the one they used in the show?
Sure.
You just can't really explain. So please do pop along and have a look at it. It's a fantastic model. He's got all the other stuff there. He's a very good friend of mine, and please go and have a look at his work. Beyond that, I think we've got to wrap up now, and you've got to go back and sell those 7 copies of the book, or 6 probably by the time of it now.
Thank you so much for putting up with me, and I really appreciate it. And thanks for... you guys have been so great online too, and on my page, and welcoming me. It's very sweet.
Are you going to be? You're here tomorrow as well.
I'm here tomorrow.
So somebody will.
Thank you for letting me make fun of you.
No.
It's so easy. No, I'm sorry.
No. So I'm used to it. I get home, I get everywhere I go, my family.
What did you just say?
Well, we used to have a wee pet dog, and my mum would get the bacon and rub it over me so the dog would lick me.
Okay, now you're doing that on purpose.
I'm sorry.
I just communicate via text.
You should see his
I'm gonna do
handwriting.
that right
You're
now.
lucky it's text. We just like to point out this is the level of comedy that James normally
He's
manage
exhausted.
on our podcast.
This has been a long road getting here to open up this convention this weekend. And
It has.
He is slowly losing his mind.
Literally, we have had
What
one
he has.
review for our podcast, and the podcast review was the only podcast that needs subtitles. So,
I think we all better leave quietly.
I think we should. So, please, everyone, round of applause for our
massive round of
fantastic
applause
guest.
for that. Thank you. No, not at all.
Just about housekeeping, James and I are back tomorrow. We've got Kaz Anwar from The Expanse.
he's adorable.
And what else, James? I'm trying to think. He played Dodi Fayad as well in a Diana movie, which means
He's
nothing to
just-
most folk here.
He's like Nathan Fillion. He's the nicest guy.
He's The Expanse. Oh, what's the other one?
Strain.
The Strain. That's a vampire one I'm not going to watch anyway. So we'll be back if you want to come back for this. And if we don't want to come back, then please come back for Kaz, because James and I will try and be better. So thanks again, everyone.